The night sky over Earth had always been a place of wonder. For centuries, humans looked up at the stars with curiosity, dreaming of life beyond their small blue planet. They built telescopes, sent satellites, and finally placed their first footprints on the moon. By the 22nd century, humanity had become a spacefaring species in its own small way. They had colonies on the moon, scientific outposts on Mars, and mining stations in the asteroid belt. Humanity was still fragile, but they were learning to stand together. Then came the voice from the stars. It was not a whisper, not a faint signal, but a command, loud, clear, and undeniable. Across every radio, every satellite feed, and every digital network, the message appeared in hundreds of languages. It was as if the universe itself had decided to speak. The words were direct. All emerging civilizations must surrender. You are to obey the Dominion Assembly, provide resources, provide soldiers, provide obedience, defy us, and you will face discipline. At first, people thought it was a trick, perhaps some prank or a strange broadcast from an unknown satellite. But the truth could not be denied for long. Within days, enormous vessels arrived in the solar system, ships the size of continents glowing with alien energy. They did not fire, not yet. Instead, they waited silently near the edge of the system, as if daring humanity to challenge them. The governments of Earth gathered in emergency meetings. The newly formed Planetary Council, only 10 years old, was suddenly facing the greatest crisis in human history. Leaders from every region, scientists, generals, diplomats, and elected representatives, met in Geneva under heavy security. Some were afraid. "We cannot fight them," one leader argued. "Their ships are beyond anything we can imagine. If we resist, they will destroy our cities in a single strike." Others grew angry. "We cannot bow to them," another leader shouted. "We have fought for our freedom for centuries. Do you expect us to hand it over now without even trying?" The council chamber filled with voices. Fear, anger, hope, despair. Outside, billions of people across the planet watched the debates unfold live on their screens. Every family, every worker, every student knew that the choice of the council would decide their future. The aliens sent representatives. They were not flesh and blood in the way humans understood. Their emissaries appeared as tall, shimmering figures, projected through beams of light. Their voices were calm but cold, each word heavy with authority. "You will obey," the emissaries declared. "Your planet is young. Your species is reckless. Without the assembly, you will destroy yourselves. Submit, and you will be given protection and purpose. Refuse, and you will be disciplined." The word disciplined hung in the air like a shadow. No one needed to ask what it meant. In the streets of Earth's cities, protests broke out. Some demanded peace at any cost, terrified of alien power. Others carried banners declaring freedom for Earth. In the colonies on Mars and the Moon, messages came through. We will not be slaves. Humanity was divided, but one truth connected them. This was no dream. The universe was watching, and they had to decide. The scientists studied the alien broadcast carefully. They discovered that the Dominion Assembly was ancient, a coalition of many species that ruled countless star systems. For thousands of years, they had demanded obedience from every young civilization they encountered. Those who submitted were absorbed into the Assembly's strict hierarchy. Those who resisted were erased. The council spent sleepless nights in debate. Generals presented defense plans, though most admitted the odds were hopeless. Economists warned that a blockade would crush Earth's fragile growth. Diplomats asked whether partial submission, giving resources but not soldiers, might save them. But in the quiet hours, some voices rose with determination. "We have survived every trial thrown at us," one representative said. "Plagues, wars, disasters. Every time we stood up again. Why should this be any different?" The turning point came when the alien emissaries made their final demand. They requested 10 million humans, soldiers, workers, and children, to be taken as servants of the assembly. The chamber froze. That single demand united the council more than anything else. It was not just about resources or obedience anymore. It was about the survival of humanity's spirit. In homes across Earth, families wept at the thought of their children being taken away. In colonies on Mars, miners declared that if the council surrendered, they would resist on their own. In the oceans, fishermen spoke of their ancestors who had once resisted great empires on Earth itself. The human heart began to beat in unison. The final vote came on a cold morning. Outside, crowds filled the streets waiting for the answer. Inside, the council members pressed their hands to the screens, one by one casting their decision. When the results appeared, there was silence so deep it seemed to swallow the world. The council had voted Earth would not obey. Across the globe, cheers and cries mixed in the air. Some celebrated with tears of pride, others trembled with fear of what would come. In orbit, the alien emissaries paused, their figures flickering as if in disbelief. Humanity had chosen defiance. On the moon, engineers rushed to arm their mining lasers for defense. On Mars, scientists converted power stations into makeshift weapons. On Earth, old rivalries disappeared overnight as nations began to share their knowledge and technology freely. For the first time in history, the human race truly stood as one. In the skies above, the alien fleet shifted position. Their silent patience was gone. They had been challenged and now they would respond. But on Earth there was no regret. Humanity knew the risk and still they stood tall. For in their hearts they carried a simple truth. Freedom once lost could never be regained. And if they were to fall, they would fall standing. And so, the first chapter of humanity's defiance began. The choice was made. Earth had spoken with one voice, they would not bow. But defiance came with a heavy cost. The moment the Dominion Assembly realized humanity had chosen rebellion, their patience ended. The alien fleet that had waited at the edge of the solar system moved closer. Their ships were vast, glowing with strange colors, their surfaces covered with symbols of authority. They did not need to fire a single weapon to inspire fear. Their very presence was enough to shake human hearts. The first punishment came as a blockade. Dozens of alien vessels positioned themselves around the solar system, cutting off all trade routes. Cargo ships from nearby colonies were seized or destroyed. The asteroid belt miners lost contact with Earth. Mars found its supply lines strangled. The moon bases were cut off from spare parts. Humanity had taken its stand and now it was being forced to pay. On Earth, shortages appeared quickly. Factories that depended on materials from space slowed down. Communication satellites were disabled by precision strikes, leaving entire regions in silence. Power grids flickered under the strain of sabotage. The assembly was showing its strength without even launching a full invasion. It was a warning, surrender now or suffer more. But humanity was stubborn. Instead of breaking, they adapted. In underground bunkers and secret laboratories, scientists worked around the clock. They studied every fragment of alien technology they could capture, even the smallest piece of debris left behind by a patrol ship. Engineers repurposed mining lasers, turning them into weapons. Old nuclear plants were restarted, their energy directed into experimental defenses. Young programmers and hackers began attacking alien communication signals, slipping into their networks like shadows. Everywhere, ordinary people contributed. Farmers grew extra food for the soldiers. Students trained in survival and first aid. Retired pilots returned to service, teaching a new generation of cadets. Humanity was learning quickly that survival would depend on unity. The first real clash came above Mars. A squadron of alien peace enforcers arrived, demanding that the colony hand over 10,000 workers as tribute. The Martian Council refused. A small fleet of human-built defense ships, no larger than old cargo haulers with guns attached, faced the alien warships. The difference in power was overwhelming. The battle lasted only minutes. 2 human ships were destroyed, and 1 colony dome was damaged, forcing hundreds of people to flee into shelters. Yet in the chaos, something happened that surprised everyone. A team of engineers had hidden inside an asteroid, waiting for the alien ships to pass. When the moment came, they triggered an experimental railgun built from scavenged parts. The shot ripped through one of the alien vessels, shattering it into pieces. For the first time, humanity had struck back. News spread across the colonies and Earth like fire. The aliens were not invincible. They could be hurt. For many, it was the first spark of hope since the crisis began. But the victory came at a price. The Dominion Assembly responded with greater cruelty. Orbital strikes followed. Precision beams destroyed Earth satellites, leaving the skies darker. Cargo hubs in orbit were obliterated. Small outposts in the asteroid belt were silenced forever. The message was clear. You defied us and you will suffer. In cities across Earth, people lived with fear. Alarms sounded as alien ships passed overhead. Children practiced evacuation drills in schools. Families built shelters under their homes. Yet despite the fear, there was no surrender. Every act of punishment only made humanity more determined. The Planetary Council continued to meet daily. Reports of sabotage and raids filled their screens. Yet they also received reports of courage. Fishermen in the Pacific used their boats to transport supplies when planes could not fly. Mechanics in Africa built improvised drones from scrap parts. A group of students in India cracked part of the alien code, creating a virus that disrupted one of the blockade ships. Humanity had never been so united. Still, the assembly was relentless. Their emissaries appeared once more, glowing figures of authority. "Your resistance is meaningless," they declared. "You are primitives fighting against the inevitable. Submit and your suffering will end." But this time the council did not hesitate. One leader, standing tall before the projection, answered firmly, "We would rather suffer than kneel. We will never give you our children. We will never give you our freedom." The emissaries vanished without another word. Everyone knew what that meant. The next step would not be blockades or warnings. It would be war. The preparation for that war consumed every moment. On the moon, scientists tested prototype weapons, their beams lighting up the darkness of space. On Mars, miners built underground shelters to protect civilians. On Earth, military academies opened their doors to volunteers from every corner of the planet. Humanity was no longer divided by borders. Every invention, every secret, every resource was shared. Then came the strike that changed everything. A group of human pilots, disguised as miners, launched a daring mission against a Dominion command ship stationed near Jupiter. Their ships were small, outdated and underpowered compared to the alien vessel. But they carried with them something new, a weapon built from hacked alien tech designed to overload energy shields. The mission was nearly suicide. Out of 20 pilots, only 6 survived the approach. Under heavy fire, they pressed on, releasing the weapon at close range. The alien ship's shields cracked, and for a brief moment, the impossible happened. The great command ship exploded in a blinding flash. The loss stunned the Dominion assembly. Across the galaxy, whispers spread. If humans could destroy one of their great ships, perhaps the assembly was not as untouchable as it claimed. Other enslaved species heard the news. Rebellions that had been silent for centuries began to stir. Back on Earth, the celebration was brief. Everyone knew retaliation would come. Humanity had crossed a line that could not be undone. In the council chamber, the leaders gathered again. One of them spoke words that echoed across every screen on Earth. "We did not choose this fight, but we will finish it. The assembly calls us primitives. Let them learn what humanity truly is. We will fight with everything we have, and if they come to crush us, they will discover that Earth does not kneel." Outside, the alien fleet prepared for a final campaign. Humanity had won small battles, but the great storm was still to come. The Dominion Assembly declared Earth a rogue world, a dangerous threat that must be erased. The people of Earth knew what that meant. The largest invasion fleet in history was on its way. But as they watched the skies, humanity no longer felt powerless. They were scarred, but they were standing. And for the first time, they realized something even greater. Across the galaxy, others were watching, waiting, and hoping. Humanity's defiance had become more than rebellion. It had become a symbol. And symbols, once born, are not easily destroyed. The silence before the storm was heavy. Across the solar system, humanity waited. Reports spread quickly. The Dominion Assembly had launched its greatest fleet in centuries. Hundreds of massive warships, escorted by countless smaller craft, were heading straight for Earth. Their purpose was clear: to end human defiance forever. On Earth, there was no panic. The fear was real, but it had turned into determination. Families built shelters, cities organized defenses, and every citizen knew their role. For the first time in history, there was no division between nations. There were no separate flags. There was only one banner now, the banner of humanity. The Planetary Council spoke to the people. Their message was simple: we will not kneel. We will fight for every breath. If we fall free. Those words echoed in every home, every colony, and every outpost. Humanity understood the cost, but no one asked to surrender. Preparations moved quickly. The moon bases armed their mining lasers and turned them toward the skies. Mars transformed its power plants into weapons. On Earth, Satellites were launched with new programs designed to confuse alien sensors. Even small drones built in secret workshops were sent into orbit, ready to act as swarms. The invasion began with a storm of fire. The alien fleet entered the solar system like a wave of darkness, their ships blocking out the stars. Beams of light cut across the void, striking human outposts with deadly precision. Colonies on asteroids were reduced to silence. The assembly believed it was already over, but humanity had learned to fight differently. At first, the alien ships struck empty targets. Decoys drifted in space, fooling their scanners. When they destroyed what looked like a supply hub, they found only rocks and empty metal shells. Meanwhile, hidden railguns fired from the surface of the moon, tearing into their smaller vessels. For the first time in ages, the assembly faced an enemy that refused to fight by their rules. Above Earth, the main battle began. Human ships were fragile compared to the alien giants, but they were fast, unpredictable, and brave. Pilots flew into impossible maneuvers, dodging fire while unleashing coordinated attacks. Many sacrificed themselves, ramming their ships into alien hulls to protect their comrades. Each act of courage became a spark for the rest. In underground command centers, young programmers launched digital strikes. They sent viruses into alien systems, disrupting targeting computers. Some ships turned their weapons on their allies before shutting down completely. The aliens had relied on perfect order, but now chaos was spreading through their fleet. On Mars, miners detonated asteroids to scatter debris into the path of alien warships. The fragments acted like shrapnel, damaging their shields. On Earth, hidden missile silos fired in waves, striking from unexpected locations. The assembly's commanders had believed humans were weak, but what they faced now was a storm of defiance. The great turning point came during the Battle of Earth's orbit. The Dominion deployed one of its command ships, a massive vessel larger than any human city. Its arrival cast a shadow over the planet, a reminder of the assembly's overwhelming power. The command ship began charging a weapon that could wipe out entire continents in a single strike. Every human ship turned toward it. Pilots knew the odds, but none hesitated. Fleets from the Moon, Mars, and Earth's orbit all converged, pouring fire on the giant. It was not enough. The command ship's shields absorbed the attacks easily. For a moment, despair threatened to return. Then came the voice of Commander Reyes, leader of Earth's defense fleet. His words rang across every channel. They call us primitives. They call us weak. But today we show them who we are. For Earth, for humanity, for freedom. The human fleet surged forward. A small team of pilots carrying experimental weapons built from stolen alien tech dove straight into the command ship's fire. Their ships were torn apart one by one, but the survivors pressed on. Finally, a single fighter broke through the shields and delivered the strike directly into the ship's core. The explosion was like a second sunrise. The command ship shattered, its fragments burning as they fell toward Earth's atmosphere. The sight filled every human heart with pride and hope. For the first time, the Dominion Assembly had lost one of its greatest symbols of power. The rest of the battle turned swiftly. Inspired by Earth's defiance, rebels across the galaxy rose up. Species that had lived under Assembly control for centuries began to fight. Outposts burned with revolt. Messages of rebellion filled the stars. If humans can fight, so can we. The Dominion realized the truth. This was no longer just about Earth. Humanity's resistance had become the spark for a fire they could not control. After days of fighting, the Assembly's fleet began to retreat. Their ships pulled back from the solar system, battered and humiliated. The war was not over, but Earth had survived what should have been certain destruction. Humanity had proven the impossible. They had faced the greatest empire in the galaxy and endured. On Earth, the people celebrated. They had lost much, ships, colonies, and lives, but they had not lost themselves. Families hugged their loved ones, knowing freedom had been protected. Soldiers stood proudly, their uniforms torn but their spirits unbroken. The Planetary Council sent a final message into space, broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. We are humanity. We are not perfect. We are not the strongest, but we are free and we will remain free. To any who suffer under tyranny, know this: you are not alone. The message spread far and wide. Across the stars, oppressed worlds whispered the name of Earth with hope. Humanity had become more than a single planet. They had become a symbol of defiance, a voice for freedom in a galaxy ruled by fear. As the skies cleared and Earth's people rebuilt, One truth remained unshaken. When ordered to obey, humanity chose defiance. And in that choice, they discovered their greatest strength. For no empire, no matter how vast, could silence the roar of a free people.